Let me tell you something right now that might sting a little, but you need to hear it. There is a version of you walking around every day making excuses. That version of you hits snooze on life. That version of you stays quiet when you should speak up. That version of you waits, procrastinates, scrolls, and complains. And let's just call it what it is. That's the weak version of your life. And it's got to go. You were not put on this planet to play small. You were not born to be average. You're here to build something bigger, to feel something deeper, to live louder. But you can't do that while dragging around this tired, fearful, lazy version of yourself that's afraid to fail, afraid to start, afraid to be uncomfortable. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the part of you that says, "I'll do it tomorrow." The part that whispers, "What if you're not good enough?" The part that tells you, "Just stay safe. Don't risk anything. Don't make a scene." That voice is a liar. That voice is the prison guard keeping you stuck. That voice is not your friend, it is your enemy. And you have a choice to make. Are you going to keep feeding it, or are you going to kill it? Killing the weak version of your life doesn't happen with one big moment. It happens in 1,000 small ones. It happens when you wake up and instead of scrolling on your phone, you get your ass out of bed and do something that pushes you. It happens when you want to quit and instead you choose to keep going. It happens when you're scared to speak in that meeting or post that video or apply for that job, but you do it anyway. Listen, confidence is not something you're born with. It's not something you wait to feel. Confidence is the reward for taking action. You build confidence by doing the hard things, the scary things, especially when you don't feel like it. That weak version of you waits for motivation. The stronger version creates momentum. That weak version needs reassurance. The stronger version decides and moves. I don't care how many times you've screwed up. I don't care how long you've been stuck. That's your past. That's not who you are. You are not your failures. You are not your procrastination. You are not your fear. You are who you choose to become next. But you've got to make the choice. You've got to say it out loud. I'm done with this weak version of me. Say it like you mean it. Own it. Because here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to push you harder than you push yourself. You're waiting for the right time. It's now. You're waiting for the perfect plan. Start messy. You're waiting to feel ready. You won't. Action first. Courage first. Results second. And I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. But you know what's harder? Regret. Looking back in 5 years and realizing you let fear win. Realizing you let your potential rot while you scrolled through someone else's highlight reel. That's what you should be afraid of. Not failure, wasted life. You've got one shot at this. One. You've got goals. You've got dreams. You've got that little fire burning in your chest that refuses to die no matter how much you've ignored it. That's not an accident. That's your truth. And it's time to honor it. It's time to chase it like your life depends on it, because it does. You want to change your life? Change your standards? Raise the bar. Stop settling. Stop saying maybe. Start saying hell yes to the things that make you come alive, and no to everything that doesn't. You don't need permission. You need commitment. You don't need the perfect conditions. You need a decision. Kill that version of you that says, "I can't." Bury the voice that says, "What if it doesn't work?" and replace it with, "What if it does?" Replace self-doubt with action. Replace hesitation with hustle. Replace fear with fire. You want more? Become more. You want better? Do better. Every single choice you make either feeds the strong version of you or the weak one. So choose wisely. Every day. Here's what I know. You have everything it takes to change. Not next year. Not when the timing is right. Now. Today. The weak version of you is living on borrowed time. Because starting now, you show up different. You speak differently. You act like someone who believes in their future more than they fear failure. You act like someone who's finally sick of their own excuses. This is your wake-up call. This is your permission. This is your line in the sand. That weak version of your life. It's done. Dead. Gone. Now stand up, look in the mirror, and meet the strongest version of yourself. You're just getting started. Let's go. Let's get brutally honest. The weakest version of your life exists because you've been feeding it. You've been listening to that toxic inner dialogue, the one that whispers you're not smart enough, talented enough, disciplined enough. The one that says, "Don't try, you'll fail," or "Who do you think you are to want more?" That voice isn't truth. It's not wisdom. It's a parasite. It survives by feeding off your fear and your inaction. And every time you believe it, every time you obey it, you make it stronger. It's time to stop feeding the lies. Think about it. That voice, the weak, insecure version of you, doesn't come out of nowhere. It's been built over time. Every time you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," you gave it power. Every time you scrolled instead of worked, hesitated instead of acted, hid instead of showed up, you reinforced it. You taught your mind that fear gets to lead, that self-doubt gets to win. And the more you did it, the easier it became. But here's the part that should light a fire in your chest. You created that weak version, and that means you have the power to destroy it. This is not about shame. This is about accountability. You have to face the truth, not to feel bad about your past, but to take back control of your future. You can't kill the weak version of your life if you keep feeding it with the same habits, the same thoughts, and the same energy that built it. You've got to change the input if you want a different output. You've got to interrupt the pattern. How do you do that? You catch the lie in real time. You hear that voice say, "You're too tired," and you say, "Nope, not today." You feel the urge to scroll, to quit, to shrink, and you act anyway. You take the action that your stronger self would take, because every time you interrupt that lie with truth and action, you starve it. You weaken it. You teach your brain that you're the one in control now. Let's be clear, those lies aren't going to vanish overnight. But every day you show up with intention, every day you do the thing anyway, you're building a new voice, a stronger voice, one that says, "I've got this." One that says, "I don't back down." One that says, "Let's go." Here's something powerful, that weak voice in your head. It's not actually you. It's the protective version of you that your brain built to avoid discomfort and rejection. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams, it cares about keeping you safe. But safe is not where growth lives. Safe is where dreams die. So you have to get louder than that voice. You have to become someone who doesn't negotiate with fear, someone who recognizes the lie, stops it cold, and replaces it with a new standard, a higher standard, a non-negotiable. You've got to develop an inner radar for these lies. You're too late. Lie. It's never too late to take control. You'll never succeed. Lie. You don't know until you try and try again. You don't have what it takes. Lie. You'll grow into it. No one will care. Lie. You care, and that's enough to begin. You feed strength by speaking truth. You feed power by showing up when it's hard. You starve weakness by moving anyway, by deciding that discomfort is the price of transformation and you're willing to pay it. So here's the call to action. Catch the lie. Stop feeding it. Replace it with action. Because every single day, you are either feeding the voice of your fear or the voice of your future. And only one of them deserves to survive. Let's stop pretending that confidence is some magical feeling you wake up with one day. It's not. Confidence doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, today's the day you feel ready to go after your dreams." That's not how it works. You know what builds confidence? Action. Messy, uncomfortable, imperfect action. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's not in your DNA. It's a skill. And like any skill, it's built, not found. Too many people are sitting around waiting to feel confident before they start, before they launch the business, speak up in the meeting, walk into the gym, ask for what they want. And let me tell you something. If you're waiting to feel confident before you take action, you're going to be waiting your entire life. The truth, you don't need confidence to get started. You need courage. There's a huge difference. Courage is what gets you out the door. Confidence is what's waiting on the other side of the door. But the only way to earn it is to walk through. Think about the first time you tried anything new, riding a bike, learning to drive, stepping on a stage, starting a job. You weren't confident. You were nervous, maybe even terrified. But you did it anyway. And the more you practiced, the better you got. The better you got, the more confident you felt. That's how it works. Confidence follows action. It never comes before. So when you hear yourself saying, "I'm not confident enough to do that," what you really mean is, "I'm not willing to feel uncomfortable long enough to earn the confidence that comes with doing it." That's a harsh truth, but it's one you need to face if you're serious about killing the weak version of your life. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're afraid of public speaking. You wait. You hope one day you'll magically wake up and not be afraid. spoiler alert, that day doesn't come. But if you get up and speak anyway, even if your voice shakes, even if it's awkward, that's how confidence is born. Not because it was easy, but because you did it scared. You did it when your brain was screaming, run. That's powerful. That's how you rewire your identity. Every time you act in spite of fear, you're telling your brain, I'm the kind of person who does hard things. I can trust myself. And let's be real, trust is the foundation of confidence. When you trust yourself to follow through, to try even if you fail, to show up regardless of the outcome, that is real confidence. It's not loud. It's not arrogant. It's calm, grounded, and earned. That's what separates confident people from everyone else. They don't have superpowers. They've just taken more action. They've failed more. They've tried more. They've felt fear and moved anyway so many times that their brain no longer sees the fear as a reason to stop. It sees it as a reason to step up. Want to build unshakable confidence? Start keeping the promises you make to yourself. You say you're going to get up early. Get up. You say you're going to go to the gym. Go. You say you're going to stop procrastinating and finally chase that dream. Take one step today. Because every time you follow through, you build evidence that you are reliable, that you are capable, that you can count on you. And that is what creates true confidence. No more waiting to feel ready. No more waiting to feel strong. The strongest, most confident people you admire. They started exactly where you were uncertain, scared, full of doubt. The difference is they didn't wait. They acted. And because they acted, they built confidence. They earned it. So here's the bottom line. You don't need confidence to start. You start to build confidence. The next time fear tries to talk you out of something, I want you to remember this. Your confidence is waiting on the other side of the thing you're afraid to do. And if you want to feel powerful, you've got to move. You've got to speak. You've got to do. Confidence doesn't live in your head. It lives in your habits. It's built one brave choice at a time. So make one, right now. Let's get real. Comfort is a silent killer. It sneaks into your life disguised as peace, as rest, as taking it easy. And before you know it, it wraps around you like a warm blanket, slowly smothering your ambition, your growth, your fire. You sit there thinking everything's fine. You're not failing. You're not crashing. But you're not growing either. You're stuck in the middle, not miserable, but not fulfilled. And let me tell you something. That is the most dangerous place to live. Because the truth is, comfort is where potential goes to die. You weren't born to stay the same. You were born to stretch, to evolve, to chase something bigger than you. But growth lives on the edge of discomfort. It lives in the tough conversations, the early mornings, the risky moves, the moments that scare the hell out of you. And most people, they never get there. You know why? Because comfort is easier. It's predictable. It doesn't ask anything of you. But if you want to build a strong, purpose-driven, powerful life, you have to kill comfort. You have to declare war on the habits that keep you small. Because every time you choose comfort over growth, you're making a trade. You're trading your dreams for a couch, your goals for convenience, your potential for temporary ease. Let's be brutally honest. That version of you that says, it's fine, I'm doing okay, is lying to you. You're not fine. You're settling. You know deep down you could be doing more. You could be pushing harder. You could be taking that leap. But instead, you're playing it safe. You're coasting. You're hiding under the excuse of, I don't want to burn out, when really you're just scared to get uncomfortable. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something that really challenged you? Not something you're already good at. Not something that felt natural. I'm talking about something that made your stomach drop. Something that made your heart race. Something that forced you to level up. If you can't remember, that's a problem. That's the sign that comfort has taken over. And if you don't break out of it, it will become your cage. The most successful, fulfilled people in the world. They're not the most talented. They're not the luckiest. They're the ones who built a relationship with discomfort. They made discomfort their training ground. While everyone else ran from the hard stuff, they leaned into it. They said, this feels scary good. Let's go. And every time they pushed through, they got stronger, sharper, more focused. You want to be that person. Then you've got to flip the script. You've got to stop treating comfort like a reward and start seeing it for what it really is, a trap. You've got to crave growth more than you crave ease. You've got to chase discomfort like it's your job, because it is. Every time you do the thing you don't want to do, the cold shower, the tough call, the 6 a.m. workout, the scary pitch, you're not just building discipline, you're building proof. Proof that you can count on yourself. Proof that you're not afraid to feel uncomfortable. And that proof becomes your power. So how do you start killing comfort? You make it a daily habit to do one thing that sucks. One thing you don't feel like doing. One thing that stretches you. That's how you train your mind. That's how you rewire your identity. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be real. Because every time you override your comfort zone, you send a message to yourself. I don't need to feel ready. I don't need it to be easy. I just need to do it anyway. Let this be your wake-up call. Comfort is not your friend. It will lull you into mediocrity. It will seduce you into playing small. It will whisper, stay here, it's safe. But what it won't do, it won't help you grow. It won't unlock your potential. It won't create the life you're dreaming about. So stop choosing what's easy. Start choosing what's necessary. Kill comfort before it kills your future. Because comfort may feel good today, but freedom, fulfillment, purpose, those live on the other side of discomfort. Let's get one thing straight. Motivation is not coming to save you. If you're waiting to feel motivated before you act, to go to the gym, to write the book, to launch the business, to have the hard conversation, you're going to be waiting a long damn time. Motivation is like a flaky friend. Shows up when everything's going well, disappears the second things get uncomfortable. It's unreliable, it's inconsistent, and it cannot be the foundation of your success. But you know what can be? Momentum. Momentum is the real game changer. It's not emotional. It's not dramatic. It doesn't depend on how you feel. Momentum is built through action. Small, consistent steps that stack up day after day until suddenly you're unstoppable. Let's kill the myth right now that people who succeed are somehow more motivated than you. They're not. They've just learned to act without needing to feel like it. They don't wait until the stars align or their energy is high or inspiration hits. They start, they move. And because they move, they build momentum, and that momentum becomes their fuel. That's how it works. You don't get momentum by thinking. You don't get it by planning or watching motivational videos or reading about people who've already done it. You get momentum by doing, by getting up and moving, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Think about a train. When it's at a dead stop, it takes massive energy to get it moving. But once it's in motion, it's almost impossible to stop. That's you. That's your life. If you can just push past the resistance at the beginning, if you can make yourself start when you least feel like it, you create the momentum that will carry you forward, whether you feel like it or not. And here's the truth. The hardest part is always the beginning. That first 5 seconds. That first step. That first decision to stop scrolling and start doing. You don't need to feel ready, you need to act. Because the second you move, something shifts. You start proving to yourself that you can do it. You start rewiring your brain for follow-through. You stop depending on emotion and start depending on discipline. This is what most people don't understand. Action creates emotion, not the other way around. You think you need to feel inspired to take action. Wrong. Take action first, and the energy, the pride, the clarity, they'll follow. You're not tired, you're unengaged. You're not lazy, you're disconnected from purpose. And the way to reconnect, start moving. Even one small action, one tiny shift can break the cycle. You send one email. You go for one walk. You set a timer and work for just 5 minutes. That's all it takes to flip the switch. Because once you're in motion, staying in motion gets easier. And with each move, you build trust with yourself. And that trust is what leads to confidence, consistency, and results. Stop looking for motivation. It's a trap. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are liars. They change with the weather. They're affected by your sleep, your hormones, your environment. You cannot build a powerful life on something that's fickle. But momentum is mechanical. It doesn't care how you feel. It just wants you to keep showing up. And once you do, it becomes your engine. It becomes your advantage. You start stacking wins. You start feeling pride. You start believing, I'm doing this. Not because it's easy, not because you always want to, but because you made the decision to show up anyway. And that is how strong people are built. That's how successful lives are built. Not through bursts of energy or random sparks of motivation, but through the quiet, gritty, daily choice to move. So here's your challenge. Stop waiting. Stop stalling. Stop negotiating with your own excuses. Start now. Move. One step, one page, one rep, one phone call. Just start. Because momentum beats motivation every time. Let's stop sugarcoating it. You're not tired, you're undisciplined. And no, that's not an insult. It's an opportunity, because discipline isn't punishment. It's not about restriction or deprivation. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's you saying, I am worthy of the life I want, and I'm willing to work for it. Think about it. Every time you break a promise to yourself, every time you hit snooze, skip the workout, delay the project, binge the junk, ghost your goals, you chip away at your self-respect. You're sending the message, my word means nothing. I don't follow through. And over time, that becomes your identity. You don't trust yourself. You don't believe yourself. You don't even take your own dreams seriously anymore. And that is a deep, heavy weight to carry, not because you're lazy, but because you're out of alignment with who you know you could be. But the good news, you can take it back, all of it, starting today, starting with discipline. Discipline is the ultimate form of self-love, not the fluffy kind you see in quotes, the real kind. The kind that says, I love myself enough to do what's hard. The kind that wakes you up early. The kind that shuts off distractions. The kind that doesn't flinch when it's time to do the work. Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because you've decided you're worth the effort. And here's the truth. People who look like they have it all together aren't more gifted. They're more committed. They don't need to be in the mood. They don't need someone cheering them on. They show up anyway, because that's who they've chosen to be. Let that sink in. Discipline is a decision about who you are, not what you feel, not what you want. Who you are. And yes, it's hard. But so is staying stuck. So is living in regret. So is constantly breaking promises to yourself and wondering why you feel so disconnected and defeated. The heart is already there, you just have to decide which kind you're willing to live with. The heart of discipline or the heart of disappointment. You want self-respect? Then earn it. Build it. Brick by brick. Day by day. Not by doing everything perfectly, but by doing what you said you'd do. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's the moment discipline is built. Not when it's convenient, but when it's inconvenient as hell and you do it anyway. Here's what nobody tells you. Motivation is loud, but discipline is quiet. Motivation screams. Discipline whispers. And the whisper sounds like this. Nope, we said we'd do it. Let's go. We don't quit on ourselves anymore. 5 more minutes. That's it. Push through. Get up. Show up. You've got this. You hear that voice. That's your new identity being born. Discipline doesn't mean you never rest. It doesn't mean you grind until you collapse. It means you make decisions based on your goals, not your feelings. It means you're no longer controlled by impulses, distractions, or temporary comfort. It means you are in charge now. And that's where power comes from being the kind of person who can rely on themselves. From knowing that when you say, I'm going to do this, you don't just mean it, you prove it. Start small. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Keep your phone off until your priorities are done. Say no when you want to say yes to the easy way out. The point isn't perfection, it's pattern. You're rewriting the story of who you are. You're training yourself to lead. Error in message stream. It's time to have a brutally honest conversation with yourself, one that most people avoid their entire lives. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are in control. Now, before you flinch, let me be clear. I'm not saying bad things don't happen. I'm not saying life hasn't hit you hard, maybe harder than most. Maybe you've been hurt, betrayed, overlooked, ignored, abandoned, or broken. Life is unfair, and you have every right to feel those things. But you do not have the right to stay stuck there. Because what happens to you may not be your fault, but what you do next, that's 100% on you. You don't get to live 2 decades blaming your past, your parents, your ex, your job, the economy, your anxiety, your trauma, your boss, your burnout. You don't get to keep pointing fingers at the world and expect your life to change. You don't get to complain about a cage while holding the key. You want power? Take ownership. Because here's the truth. The second you stop blaming and start taking responsibility, you take your life back. You stop reacting and start creating. That's the shift from victim to leader. from stuck to soaring, from weak to unshakable. It starts with this decision. No more excuses. I am responsible for my life. Not just the parts you like, all of it. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think ownership means blame. It doesn't. Ownership means power. It means you stop waiting for someone else to come fix it. You stop praying for the perfect moment, the perfect apology, the perfect conditions, and you start taking messy, imperfect action. Victims wait, leaders move. Victims say, "Why is this happening to me?" Leaders ask, "What can I do with this?" You don't get stronger by staying safe. You get stronger by saying, "This isn't ideal, but I can handle it." You don't build resilience by avoiding the storm. You build it by standing in the middle of it and saying, "I still get to choose." Because that's the core of this whole thing, choice. That's the part no one can take from you. Your job sucks. You can choose to leave or choose to grow within it. You've been hurt. You can choose to heal. Your finances are a mess. You can choose to learn. You don't like how you feel. You can choose to act anyway. You are not stuck. You are scared. You are not lost. You're undecided. You are not powerless. You've just forgotten how powerful your choices are. And look, it's tempting to stay in victim mode. You get sympathy. You get to avoid the pressure of change. You get to sit comfortably in your story. But it's a trap. A beautiful, dangerous, paralyzing trap. Because the longer you stay there, the more you start to identify with your struggle. You become it. You stop seeing the future and start replaying the past on a loop. You shrink. You doubt. You give up. But there's another version of you, the one who knows better. The one who's tired of the pity party. The one who's craving control. The one screaming, "Let's go. Get up. Take the damn wheel." That version of you is not waiting. That version is leading. That version is willing to look in the mirror and say, "Okay, this is where we are. What are we going to do about it?" You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not defeated. You are being forged. You are not done. You are just getting started. But only if you choose to step out of the story that says, "I can't," and into the mindset that says, "Watch me."
So here's your truth. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your future. And starting today, not tomorrow, not next month, not when it's convenient, you take control. One choice at a time, one boundary at a time, one hard conversation, one early morning, one scary move at a time.
You want freedom. Own your life. All of it, because once you stop blaming, you start building. And trust me, what you build when you take control will blow your old excuses to pieces. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. The life you dream about, it's not just going to magically show up. Your goals, your vision, your future, they don't happen by accident. They don't show up because you're a good person. They don't show up because you waited long enough. They don't knock on your door while you're binge watching your comfort shows, hoping something will just work out. That version of you keep fantasizing about, you're not owed that life. You have to build it, brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. And here's where it gets real. Every choice you make today is either moving you toward that future or away from it. There's no neutral. You're either building or you're stalling. You're either stepping forward with intention or slipping into autopilot. There is no pause button in life, only progress or procrastination. You want a powerful life. You want confidence, success, peace, strength, fulfillment. You better start acting like it's on you. Because it is. The future is not something you sit around and hope for. It's something you get up and work for. And not just once, not just when it's easy. Every single day. Even when you're tired. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when no one claps for you or sees what you're doing. Because successful people don't find their future. They create it. Let's cut through the noise. Dreaming is easy. Vision boards are easy. Posting quotes on Instagram is easy. What's hard? Discipline, consistency, focus. Doing the boring, uncomfortable, unsexy stuff over and over again with no immediate payoff.